Welcome back to the Gentleman Psychic. I speak a lot about intent and sigils, and I've been asked, what is a sigil? Because it sounds very arcane, it sounds very occult, it sounds very much like something very mystical and something very powerful, and in fact, it is. But it's also something very simple. We are surrounded by sigils in our daily modern life, to the point where if I were to say hamburgers and do this, you could almost taste those golden French fries that they sell underneath that golden arch. If you were to be watching a film, and you might see from a certain production company a castle appear on the screen, and flying overhead you might see a little fairy. That castle is of course associated with a certain princess whom has lost her shoe. And because of this, that one castle represents the entire world of this certain production company, of a certain man who created a mouse. In fact, even on our shoes, there is a certain shoe that has the name of a goddess, a winged goddess. It's now a training shoe, a jogging shoe, a basketball shoe, a running shoe, a tennis shoe, as the case were. Sigils even can help you find where is the best place to have coffee. They sing with their siren song, coffee, coffee, coffee. You know exactly where I'm talking about. It's in the stars. There's a lot of bucks it might cost you. Oh yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And as you, the magician, the practitioner of the occult, even in your own world, if you are a beginner or if you are someone who is seasoned, having your sigil can help you to create and focus your intent. And today, I'm going to teach you several methods. Starting off with a little bit of Grant Morrison. In the modern day, he's a modern day chaos magician. He specifically talks about how that magic sigils are in logos, which is what I just briefly spoke on. But sigils have been with us since the Neolithic times, about 12,000 years ago when we were still living in our caves. It was around the time of agriculture really starting to take place. You've seen a lot of those old cave paintings where they've used images of their hands and they've done images of their hunts and their kills. Those are sigils. In the more medieval times, magicians would use what they would call the magic square. I'll show you a little bit of that coming up. And then in 1905, it was Osman Spare who published his first book, The Earth Inferno, in 1905. And he did a more monogrammed version. So we're going to discuss a few of these options for you, as well as sort of my own methods that I have found that work for me. Stick around, we'll be back shortly. So even though we're using a modern day alphabet, this is a medieval approach. I chose the name Jack Parsons because, as you may recall from previous videos, Jack has visited me on numerous occasions. Now, for the sake of this particular video, I'm only going to read Jack. I'm not going to do the full name, but you possibly could. So what you see here, I have done in these boxes, I have created the entire 26-letter alphabet. Z, as it is, does not fit in the box, but that's quite all right. For this particular case, we don't really need it, but I put it there just in case. So what you're going to do is go through and fill out J, A, C, K. Now, again over here, I'll just take it over here and connect the dots. So we've got J is, where's my J? I'm sorry, J, A, C, K. Here is where you pull them together. J, A, C, K. So if you were to create the sigil, this would be Jack. J, A, C, K. Then you connect the dots, as you see here. J, A, C, K. this becomes the sigil for Jack. Now, it almost looks like a sideways 4. For Jack. As I mentioned before, Osman Spare was a British occultist, and he did the monogram approach, which is you write out in letters the entire thing. This I chose. The Gentleman Psychic has 3,000 subscribers. It is important that you note that in your sigil, you create as in the present. I have, it is. It is about your intention. It isn't I want to have or I hope to have. It is in the affirmative. Has, now, in the present sense. So you write it out, as it were, and then you go through and you eliminate all of the vowels, like so. All of the vowels, you eliminate all of these vowels. And then once you've eliminated all of the vowels, you go through and you eliminate all of the doubles. So you have TH, G, and T, you would remove that. And then, so you end up down here, this is what you end up with. THGNLMPSCRDB. Now, he tells you to write it out, write it. This is what my friend came up with after some time, to go ahead and to place the letters that you can see. This is sort of the main letters that remain. Now, I, on the other hand, I'm a little bit more fluid. I use the big letters, so what I did here in this case is T, G, P for the Gentleman Psychic, and then dash for the has, and then I did this, 3, and then 3 loops, and a line. That means 3,000 and a K, as in 1,000. The Gentleman Psychic has 3,000. That's how I would do the sigil, but I'm a little bit more organic. I noticed that in my automatic writing, in my sort of doodles of the mind, most of my sigils, as you'll see in the painting that I did, most of my sigils have this very Baroque S and C scroll. It was popular in the 18th century, and for me, it symbolizes a lot of connection with the divine, being connected. You'll see my painting and you'll see what I mean a little bit more on a larger scale.
Cares and troubles are gone, there'll be no more from now on. Happy days are here again, the skies above are clear again. So let us sing a song of happy cheer again. Happy, happy, happy days are here again.
Now that you've created your sigil, it is important now to note how to activate it. It was Osman Spare who did not actually believe in contacting or summoning certain demons, but it was all tied to your own subconscious. He stated that you had to sort of forget how you created it, so that you could allow the subconscious powers to work on your behalf. I have a tendency to believe that too. So many of the methods include, you could burn it, you could write it in lemon juice and then activate it with a candle, you can write it in water and let it evaporate, you can draw it and let it sit for 30 days, you can carve it in wax, you can let it be in the moonlight, you can let it be in the sunlight, whatever side you get your power from, your own sort of authority from. For myself, I have a tendency to believe more along the lines of the golem. In the ancient Abrahamic faiths, they would have a golem, and it was a clay figure that God, or the holy name, the tetragrammaton that is God, Yahweh, he would breathe that life into this clay figure. So when I do my own sigils, I paint. That's mostly my medium. I will paint it, and then I breathe upon it, summoning up from the depths of my own being and breathing my own life into those paintings. For me, you might notice in the painting that I had done that there is the symbol of the crown. For when one wears a crown, you have to remain centered, because if you do not remain centered, you can lose your crown, which on one symbol would be bad luck, and on the other symbol, it would be losing one's own power. So the crown for me teaches that I must remain centered all the way from my base, all the way up through my body, through that crown chakra in the top of the head. To remember my position, to remember my authority, to remember who I am as a person. It might also be noted that in Latin it says, this particular painting that I have done says aut in veniam, viam aut faciam, which comes to us from Hannibal. Hannibal was told he could not bring elephants through the mountains to defeat the Carthaginians. Everyone laughed, and he said, I'll either find a way or I'll make one. And as a magician, that speaks to me, and maybe it speaks to you as well. If I cannot find a way, I will make one. I will make it happen. I will make it so. Just like as you saw in the video portion where we created the sigil, the Gentleman Psychic has 3,000 subscribers, has in the present tense. What that does, you speak now. You don't speak as a wish, you don't say I hope, you don't say it maybe, it might be. No, you say it is, it has, it is right now in this present moment. You speak the affirmative right now. Stick around, make certain you like and subscribe in these videos, right over here. Until next time, we have so much more to talk about.